joined with Chubby.
Hey, what's up? Alrighty, so
Unfortunately, it looks like Mako is going to have to 5v6 at least the first map. Uh, but it looks like they might be able to get their player in mid-Nubani, so that means they'll be able to have a six-man team going into the remaining three maps. So that should be nice for them at least, and these are two of our top teams of the season currently. So hopefully we'll see some nice gameplay out of them, especially once Mako can get their sixth player. Anyway, any comments you think right now, Chubby, while I do some stuff in Discord?
um, honestly, I haven't got to see these teams play throughout most of the season, but I do gotta say, with the way it's lining up,
Hold on.
we do got. Here we go. As I believe, there's an anti-undefeated at the moment. Can't remember. I don't know, the standing's confused. But I do believe Anti has a chance of having a perfect season so far here in season 2. They have seen crazier things in Overwatch before. You know, you can never count a team out until the game's played. We'll have to wait
And
and
I
see how
do
that
believe
goes.
both teams are ready to go. I'm just double checking with Mako.
Gotcha.
And both teams are ready to go, so let's go into our first map, which is Numbani. Now, this is the last week of the main series, and I believe playoffs is going to be pushed back by a week as there was some scheduling conflicts with a few teams. So, we might not see playoffs for another 2 weeks, but playoffs, I'm not sure, because a lot of teams have dropped out. I'm not sure if how many teams are going to be making it in has changed at all. But I know that both these teams are almost guaranteed a spot in playoffs, so they will have their rematch regardless of who wins this match. Anyway, it looks like we are going to see Mako, though, playing on the, I believe it's the offensive role, if I'm not mistaken. I always mix these up.
Yeah, left side will be on the attack, right is on the defense. No, reverse that.
Left side is
Right is on the attack.
defending, right is
Yeah.
is on the offense. I always forget that, but it looks like Mako is going to be running with a bunker-style composition using that Junkrat and the Ashe. Junkrat especially going to be very useful in these tight quarters on this first point. And Ashe, she's just pure CC, wouldn't you agree?
She's like a mid-range, like sniper hybrid. She's not quite one-shot potential Widow, but not the burst of Hanzo either. It's like she's a weird character to kind of use, but she can be really strong, especially with Dynamite.
From the side of Anti, though, it looks like they're actually going with a dive composition. It's one of those comps that I've been excited to see start making its comeback, especially with the instant changes that went through. Hammond, though, immediately jumping right in, but Baptiste was there to keep everybody's health up, and basically nothing was gained out of that Hammond pile driver except for some ult charge, but Antimatter is going to start coming away with a couple picks onto the Junkrat and the Baptiste. The Resurrect onto Baptiste is going to bring him back in the fight, but Mercy falls, and it looks like this fight is falling into the way of Antimatter as Arises drops down point, trying to contest. She will get taken out by Zenyatta with the 8 of that Genji, and Antimatter will be able to start taking this first point.
Yeah, like, to a really good push there, and you can already kind of feel the effects of that one-man down. Dive is meant to dive on solo targets, and with one less person to back off those tanks, you got more room to work.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate, but sometimes things happen, and with those European times, it daylight savings against went through, and sometimes it changed for them, so there was a massive confusion going on between that, as the times were scheduled for EST, but then those EU times had changed.
Yeah.
Andrew, though, losing that Winston, it's now in a 5v6 situation, meaning that Mako could be able to hold this, though.
They're gonna give it their best shot. They do
Anti-Stracer are coming into their backline. Baptiste turns around to look for her.
Oh,
we have the first pick, though, going to Cursed Rubium, and this looks like it could go well for Mako if they can keep this slight momentum going. Antimatter pops in. A Pulse Bomb hits the Roadhog with that healing, kept him up. Dragon Blade coming out from Antimatter. But a double kill on that Riptire is going to take down both healers, but Antimatter doesn't seem like it was phased by that, as they were able to keep that payload moving and cap that second checkpoint.
They did, and honestly at this point I think you swap off the Junkrat. I mean, you're playing against the Dive, and you know the big weakness Dive always has had, and always will have, big chunky hitboxes, and you know who does good at stopping that? Reaper, or Bastion. Yeah, Bastion can mow down people pretty good too, if you can get them protected. I didn't even think about that.
Looks like now Mako is going to start that bunker competition that we've been seeing with the whole Primal Rage coming up from the Winston. He's going to get mowed down by Archangel on that Bastion, as well as an Immortality on top of him. That's going to keep him up, and looks like Mako is finally able to hold this point. Some things are definitely going to change out of Antimatter now. Now that Mako is running that Bastion, we see that they switch off the Winston and go to an Orisa Hog combination. I don't know, what up? Never mind, you talk.
Oh, I was about to say, like, they're gonna try to mirror this comp, and even mirroring it, you're gonna be at a slight disadvantage facing off against that Bastion, even with an extra body, so to speak. That's just more ult charge for the Bastion to fire off.
Tracer has this Pulse Bomb. She is going to get picked off, though, by Cursed Rubium with Kitrama taking out the opposite Roadhog. And Mako looks like they're going to continue to hold this. Antimatter doesn't want to push into that 4v5.
Yeah, I mean, that's understandable. They have a couple of ults ready to go for the next fight. They could easily try to pulse the Bastion in the back lines here, for example, or just push in with Trans to survive the onslaught of bullets. They're really not in no hurry. They got plenty of time.
The big thing that Mako's going to really have to do is force out that Transcendence, and then they can pop their Bastion Ultimate and Supercharger without fear. Bullhawk coming out. A massive Pulse Bomb taking out both tanks. That Immortality came in just a split second too late, and Antimatter is going to be able to come through, and looks like they're going to be able to capture the second checkpoint. Slightly too slow.
Couldn't make it in the right amount of time, and their 6th player for Mako will be joining the lobby shortly, so they'll be able to join in map 2. There they are, speaking of.
And I'm just going to make sure that they are only spectating Mako.
Yeah.
That is the wrong team. I set them to spectate Anti. There we go.
There you go, yeah. So, we're now going to get to see Mako try to make an offensive push here. They did hold Anti for a pretty good bit there on that last point. Did get about 2 minutes off the clock. That's really good for what they had to work with. Being at a person disadvantage in each fight.
And the nice thing to know is, now that you have that 6th person in the lobby, you can say that we can possibly give up this map and then make a comeback in the next few maps, because it is a best of 4 series.
Yes.
Meaning that even if Anti takes this map, if they are able to take the next 3, then they're in a good position for standings, or even if they can force it into a draw. Oh, damn it. My internet's fucking up right now. But, even if they can force it into a draw, though, then they would go to a map 5, meaning that Mako still has an opportunity to make a comeback.
one map a game does not make. We have seen crazier turnarounds leagues here, and it's always possible to turn a one map down into a 3-1 or a 5 map set.
Looks like Mako is trying to come around to this high ground, whereas Antimatter is set up on the opposite side. I think it's going to be very hard for Mako to really make this push through. A Stormhammer will take out that turret, as MJ did say he was going to play Torbjorn, so at least he followed through with his word.
Double shield Torbjorn, not something you see a lot of, but...
But the Sigma drops onto the point with this Tracer in the side room. It looks like Antimatter splitting up just a little bit, using the Sigma to hold on point and prevent Mako from really getting in there. Chroma is going to get slept out and then taken out by the Tracer. It looked like the Hog was trying to get into there to force Antimatter off that high ground, but he was just seen slightly too early and wasn't able to get much out of that.
And there goes the picks falling in favor of Anti there. Warrior and MJ getting a pick apiece, and now just trying to finish off the Orisa. And that sets up Anti very nicely there. Most of their ults are over half, like two-thirds of the team have their ults above 50%. The other two shouldn't take too long to build up as well, with being Tracer and Ana.
And I at least have to give Mako credit, though. They're not giving up, even at this slight disadvantage. They're still giving it their all, at least. So, it's nice to see these two top teams never really giving up the fight.
That is true, and Mako does have that window ready to go on their side. They can fire in a huge chunk of damage, try to burst down that shield and get an edge.
The nano boost ready to go on the side of Mako. They could get something going here. Nano boost is going to come out onto the Roadhog, and using that damage reduction is just going to start capping on that point. Getting about halfway to that first tick, but will be taken down by MJ's turret.
Yeah, that's a bit rough. The Molten Core kind of split them from going back into the safety of the stairs, and then you kind of were forced out to fight on that point. It's not going to end well against this bunker comp that's just waiting for you to get out from behind your shield.
We do see, though, that Mako does have 3 ults looking like they're coming online. Unfortunately, it looks like 4 ults are coming online. Actually 5 ults are coming online for the side of Antimatter, so I feel like Anti, unfortunately, does have the full advantage on this and will walk away very decisively.
Ooh.
Multiple picks coming out on the side of Antimatter. 3 of them will fall in quick succession of each other, with Tracer just assaulting the Orisa. Pulse Bomb gets sent onto her and will bring her down to almost death, then to be taken out by a Chaotic Phoenix.
Oof, and you gotta think about it, those are 2 big staggers. The team as a whole won't be able to push in until about 10 to 12 seconds. So,
coming out of Roma. That's going to be 2 picks for the side of Mako. This could be their opportunity to start making that push forward.
Yeah, that's it. And the Dragon's going to be launching up top left. Jaco's going to splint Anti. How about all the ults just coming out
Rabbinic
now?
Flux coming in. But the Hanzo actually is going to be saved thanks to the Baptiste Mortality Field. Mako's finally starting to get their presence onto this point, coming away with a couple picks. The Orisa will fall to the turret, but the Supercharger still is alive, and now finally falls, but the picks were still coming into Mako's favor. It's possible they could make this comeback. A nano-boosted Hog on the point, staring down Mako's face, but with 4 people on the side of Mako, I don't think this Hog is going to survive for very long, and as overtime ticks down, it looks like this map just barely will be captured, as that Hammond just almost was able to contest.
Yeah, like, they had an edge early on in that fight, but by the time you really got onto the point, well, A, they blocked off half your team with the Molten Core, so you couldn't move in without taking a lot of damage, and B, just the respawns. They had the Lucio, he could help speed them back in. They already had a couple surviving members. The numbers game just caught up. Once that numbers game overlaps and they get back to that advantage point, it's a little late.
But luckily now, Mako does have their 6 members, so going into the next maps, they will have another person on their team. So they're no longer at that disadvantage, which is a nice thing to see is coming from them. Alright, I just need to figure out what map is next, as it does have its own map set, so I haven't memorized the maps yet.
That's fine, as we will be going on to map number 2.
And our second map is actually going to be Oasis.
Ooh, okay, so haven't seen Anti play a good bit. They like to run double shield brawly comps. You know, at least with the lineup they have in, for the most part that I can see. Like, lots of close range, aggression. So if you want to try to counter that as Mako, maybe, you know, Reaper, Doom, double shield is a good option, you know, just to kind of fight out with them. Or maybe even a Pharah till they swap to hit scan. Something along those lines. And if you're Anti, you already know you won that first map. Yeah, it was 5v6, but that's still going to be momentum building. You know, you pretty much almost full held them without giving them a tick. They put up a good fight there at the end, but you did manage to hold. You got the confidence going in. Doesn't really matter the numbers, and you've already had a really good season. You're just keeping that momentum going.
Oh, most definitely. What the hell?
Good question. What is... Alrighty. So Chroma's going to be moving to tank. We got our 6th member of Mako coming in on that DPS role. So Mako trying to work themselves out. They finally got that 6. They have looked strong all season. I'm really ready to see this battle of the Goliaths.
Alright. So Chroma is going to be tank and Egan will be DPS.
Yeah. So that will... The numbers game will be even from the start this time. So that'll kind of... I won't lie, Mako, like, they had a lot of moments of brilliance there, being down 1. I think with the numbers in their favor, they got a lot they can do here to try to throw off Anti, and same to Anti on Mako.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that this game is, although Anti is undefeated right now, I do think Mako can give them a run for their money. Like I said, these are 2 of the top teams in the league right now. So, I feel like now that Mako actually has their 6th player, they're going to actually give Anti a tough time.
Yeah. Also, how... You're going to have to explain these standings to me, because I'm looking at them and they don't... Is it just only maps?
I believe it's only map differentials.
That seems so weird.
Yeah, but I still think of wins. If you take 3 maps, you win the match. You just do.
Yeah, that just seems... Okay. Anti's ready. Is Mako ready? Yeah, you do got a point though. If you're running through the gauntlet, so to speak, and you're undefeated, yeah, you're gonna win at least 3 maps every game. That makes sense, that part. But also, I don't know, I just like seeing that nice W column, you know? Just like, yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know, I'm gonna...
we won.
Yeah, we won, kind of thing. I don't know. Definitely an interesting way to go about it, though. I like that. Oh, shit.
I mean, it makes every map matter. So, and both teams are ready to go. So let's go into our map number 2, which is Oasis.
Okay, Oasis. So, a very nice map if you like to brawl it out a bit. There is a couple of Pharah spots here or there.
But there's also City Center, which is a huge Widowmaker map as well, and that's exactly what we're gonna get too.
Very true. You have the nice open area. Yeah, you're gonna see like Pharahs, Widows, your hit scans, kind of getting those sight lines they want, to try to fire away at people. Kind of nice for those sniper mains around.
Of course, going into University and Gardens. I mean, Gardens you definitely see a lot of the Pharah plays, but University you really don't see too much of her.
That is true. University, I think, predominantly has been close range brawl, maybe a little bit of dive here or there, that kind of thing. Like your Reapers, your McCrees, that kind of close range brawly style.
I'm gonna change something in the lobby real quick.
And speaking of brawl comps, we are going to be seeing one coming out on the side of Anti. They're going to be running Reinzar with a Lucio Moira.
There we go.
Huh?
It's just a glitch because I swapped around Marley and Weeb.
Oh, okay. That is like 7.
See, it fixed itself.
And Mako gonna be running the pharmacy and the Doomfist along with the dive. So we're gonna try to. This is gonna be a little rough. Your dive tanks are gonna have to be wary of that Reaper, but you do have the resources in the pharmacy to take them out. So.
Hammond already coming around this backline, and it looks like he is going to be starting to be assaulted by that Reaper. Doomfist comes in, is going to knock his opposing Doomfist out of the way, and a nice brawl coming out. It looks like the first pick of that fight is actually going to go to Weebology, taking down Archangel, but Dr. Sick is going to fire back, taking down Weeb. Both teams losing their Doomfist, and it looks like Knife might actually fall very shortly, but he is actually getting healed back up. Pharah being used very effectively right now. Although MJ will take out Dr. Skit, it looks like Anti does have a slight advantage on this, but they could be a little... Actually, no, they are improved up quite a bit. Weebology, though, taking out on a massive fist, taking out E again, and it looks like this point is going to go in favor of Antimatter right now. With these picks constantly falling into to Anti.
And, yeah, speaking of those picks, you can see how that affects your ult line there. 4 ults within 75% or higher. I mean, and you already have one raring to go here. They got the makings of a hardcore hold here. They got the advantage.
Some swaps coming out from Mako, switching onto the Reaper, possibly trying to contest the tanks and the opposing Reaper from Antimatter. It might prove to be a very effective swap. Hammond Mines coming out on straight in front of the doorways to point, but taken out. Though there is a massive Meteor Strike as well as a Death Blossom taking out 3 picks, but at the cost of 2 ultimates though.
Hey, that's completely fine. You got Shatter for next. You know Ko builds up faster than almost anything in the world. And I mean, your opponents don't really have the ults to burn against you either, and you already got another pick. I mean, you got all the things falling in your favor at the moment.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, if Mako stayed on that Winston Hammond or at least the Winston for a little bit longer, they would have had a slight edge in the ult economy, as I believe they were coming up soon with a Rocket Barrage. I believe they most definitely almost had a Primal Rage, so I feel like those swaps actually put them at a disadvantage.
Well, that's the thing, though. You gotta learn when to eat an ult and when to just swap, because you're facing a Reaper McCree, or not a Reaper McCree, a Reaper Doomfist that have multiple CCs along with the Moira that can take out your Winston.
Massively blocked Shatter, though, by that Reinhardt, and Warrior will fall. Dr. Skate, though, will fall to MJ. And it looks like, though, Mako starts to make their push forward. Weebology is going to be able to take down E again, though. And it looks like these picks are going to continue to fall in favor of Antimatter. And at this point, it looks like it goes into their favor with a nice 0 to 100.
Yeah, like speaking of the swaps, I think they did hold on to that dive a little long. Yeah, you had the ults to use with it, but also you had multiple counters for your main components of that comp. So you're just giving ult charge in exchange for keeping your own. And while that sounds good, a Reaper that's, you know, like can get up close to your Primal Winston is just gonna shred straight through you and get Blossom.
Yeah, that is a good point.
And Anti played their ult very well. They did get ult Pinata-y there towards the end, but they made it work. They held it really strong.
Mako swapping over to a double shield with the Pharah. Like I said, Pharah heavily used on Gardens right now. It just has so much verticality for her that why wouldn't you run a Pharah?
Especially with your opponents having no hit scan to at least start off this fight, so you do have the edge of their superiority.
And it looks like it is was slightly paying off in favor of Mako, as there was just a lot of damage dealt to Antimatter. Weebology, though, taking the first pick of the fight yet again, and looking to get that Pharah, it looks like. Antimatter, though, will take the early capture onto this point, and looking to get that Mercy. It just looks like, honestly, from what it looks like Antimatter is just selecting targets, and everybody is making sure that that specific target is falling.
Yeah, like, and it doesn't help there on the side of Mako. You didn't watch your Moira get picked first in that engagement. You lost a big chunk of your burst healing. But then, oh, never mind, they're making up for it here on the second push, though. They already got one pick, taking out the opposing main support. And
make that two, taking out the Zarya, and now Reinhardt basically only has that break to keep him up. Archangel will fall to the Doomfist, but that Resurrect will go through before Mercy is taken out. Zara back online, is going to pop her Rocket Barrage looking for picks, is going to be able to take down Weebology and Mako, able to cap this point.
There you go, they're starting to rebound here a little bit, kind of trying to play more to that counter game. You know, Brawl's always had a bit of trouble pushing into double shield, especially with the Doom Reaper, or shoot, a Maze very deadly in this comp, so I mean...
Antimatter, though, did switch over to an Ashe. Now they have that hit scan ability onto that Pharah, but a nice Gravitic Flux taking down Chaotic Phoenix. And it doesn't look like Anti really wants to push too far in, especially since they burned that Moira ultimate.
Yeah, they pulled just to get out there, they had to pull a lot of their support resources, and if you're already down on those, just back on up, let your team regroup. You still have the edge for a little bit, and yeah, you're going to lose it in this fight, but that's better than getting staggered out and them getting a huge advantage with it.
Looks like Mako is going to use this Blizzard, going to catch, it looks like a lot of people was starting to get damaged by that. Everyone started to push back, and Mako, though, coming away with 4 picks. Make that actually a team kill for the side of Mako. The comeback from Mako so far.
And gonna get a res onto the Pharah as well, so they technically lost nobody in that engagement as well.
All they really gained was some ult charge. They did use that supercharger, which allowed them to take out a lot of those picks, but they almost have another Gravitic Flux. They're halfway up to a Rocket Barrage, and they also have a Valkyrie with a Coalescence that's coming online very soon as well. Shatter, though, comes out, going to catch 3 people with that. Valkyrie comes in to bring people back up. A Graviton Surge coming in will cause the death of Knife Aaron, as well as multiple picks coming back out from Antimatter, and it looks like Anti's starting to make their comeback as well, taking it back this point in their favor. Pharah looked like she was going to try and contest just for a little bit, but all she did was really give some small bit of ult charge to the Doomfist.
And now at this point, that ult economy is starting to even back out. We're going to see Bob and Nano within the next fight. On the side of Mako, they're close to Barrage and Coalescence of their own, so it's kind of more, can you get rid of the opposing Ashe before they pop Bob? That's kind of the big thing here. Because if they pop Bob, you're down, it goes back to that numbers game. And speaking of, there it is.
But a nice wall into Bob stopped him from really being able to do much of anything.
Oh, and the Barrage
Rocket Barrage comes out, is going to take down Warrior Wolf, and Coalescence is going to take down Marley, and it looks like this is Mako's time. Taking down another pick onto Weebology, and Mako coming away with 5 picks.
Everybody
that was 6.
Yeah, everybody got one. And Ball's going to try to stall it.
And, somebody was able to touch points, but it looks like Mako is just going to walk away with this point, all tied up 1-1 on Oasis so far, and we will be going to University now.
Oh yeah, technically Anti was on the point at the 3% mark, and that's kind of about the area you need to be to trigger overtime, so they did get that little extension there. Couldn't get back quick enough though due to the hamster getting rocked.
Looks like Antimatter switching up their composition just a little bit. Weebology switching over to the McCree, possibly just to continue to assault on this Pharah as we see MJ switch over to Tracer rather than playing on the Ashe. Actually, MJ's going to be playing on the Reaper still. Using Weebology, I guess they want the McCree. I mean, the stun ability is still useful, especially with protecting your supports.
And I mean, you can get a good stun with this Reaper. You could easily take out a main tank in 2 or 3 shots. Like, it could be a very scary combo, depending on how you play it.
Creation used, looking to try and get that Reaper stun. A wall, though, onto Warrior Worth, and that is going to cause Warrior to die. And Chroma is going to take down MJ, and that takes out that Reaper from Antimatter, and Mako just being that massive force.
They're really good at this double shield comp. I mean, they're running it a little unorthodox than you see in the meta, but it's working. This Mei Pharah is scary.
I mean, it makes sense as to why. I mean, you have the damage coming in from the top, and then you also have the freeze and CC abilities of the Mei from the bottom. You really can only look one direction.
Oh, the beautiful wall gonna catch 2. Rip the Orisa.
And the Lucio looked like he was able to escape the damage, but nobody died in that, actually.
Oh, there it goes.
Archangel will take out Weave, and that takes up the hit scan. Actually, he is going to be resurrected. With a Gravitic Flux coming in, it's going to take the Reaper, causing him to take some damage, and it looks like Mako is still going to keep this onslaught up of Antimatter, with Knife taking down MJ and Roma taking down Weave, and it looks like Mako is just going to coast away with so far.
And speaking of, like, just this fight alone, it's still continuing. They got a chance to get some staggers here. Get up to 1 fight. No, they got the Orisa blocked again. That's a stagger. That's it. Oh, no.
And at 64%, they're dangerously approaching 1-fight territory.
Oh, and another stagger. No, by the time they get back now, it's going to be 1-fight territory. That's it. You just can't get back in time. Even with the res.
And that's even worse, that you had to burn that res right at spawn.
They do got a couple ults coming up, though. They do have a chance to turn this next fight around. Bongo's closed. High Noon's up online. They have Valk. Picking up their
and this McCree is obviously going to look to try and get that high ground. A nice wall. An unfortunate wall, actually, because that barrage was actually blocked out by their own Mei. Deadeye coming in. Some picks. It actually is going to get Roma their comeback. MJ is going to take down Knife with an accretion, taking out Dr. Skit. Death Blossom coming in from MJ to try and close out that point just a little bit. And this point will flip over to Antimatter.
Oh, and we are going to see Weeb go on to a Pharah of their own. And honestly, they had to use a lot in that fight, but they also got enough saved in the bank for the next. They do have Flux. They're going to have Beat. And honestly, they could build Valkyrie by the end of the fight.
Reaper looked like he was trying to get that pick onto the Sigma, was unable to, and MJ still trying to stay off to the side here.
Ooh, very nice pick onto the Sigma. That's going to be a res as well. Mako has the advantage now numbers-wise, and they have their Flux ready to go, almost with a barrage as well. Speaking of,
Gravitic Flux coming in. It's going to catch 3 in that. The Orisa will drop out of it, though, but not without their Mercy falling to the Flux itself. And it looks like, although Mako's Orisa was starting to get assaulted by Antimatters, that Antis will fall, and this point looks like it's going to flip back over to Mako, and it looks like Mako is going to be able to walk away with Oasis for the time being. Mercy just able to get there to keep that contest going. A Gravitic Flux coming in. It's going to catch 2 people, including the enemy Sigma, but that Orisa is going to be able to drop out of it with that Fortify ability. Picks falling on both sides, a nice trade-off, but I believe Antimatter has the advantage, taking out both healers right now. And Anti looks like they're going to keep this fight going, wanting to flip that point back into their favor in this overtime right now.
Yep, once again, at the last possible hour, Anti gonna pull it out. And they do have a barrage of their own coming up. Their opponent's no defensive ults to counter it.
So. But they do have a very powerful ultimate, and that is the Supercharger coming online very shortly.
Very true, very true. Almost to both DPS ults actually. They should get Blossom within the fight to help close this out.
An attempted wall onto the Hammond. It was unfortunately there was enough space for him to get through. Barrage coming in, but she is going to fall to Egan, and this is Mako's chance to start making their chance to come back. Chaotic going to fall. Death Blossom coming in, trying to get anybody it can. He will catch the Mercy, but he will fall to Chroma. And it looks like this point is going to flip back over to Mako. And I believe with overtime having been lasting for so long, it is going to quickly start to tick down. Contest coming in just in time. Winston coming in. Antimatter starting to run with that dive composition. But all these staggers are just starting to come in, and a Gravitic Flux going to pop anybody into the air and help this overtime continue to tick through. Blizzard focusing out this point, and Mako will take map number 2.
Just how beautifully they orchestrated that. Like, third time is the charm. I don't care what you say. Like, they finally got just the right elements everywhere. You're not getting through a blizzard, a wall, a coalescence, a barrage, and a flux. If you do, I'll give you a medal. But they put everything they had into this map. They're showing now once the playing field's even, we're just as good as you. And I like to see that from Mako. They're doing really good.
Oh, most definitely. Our next map, though, we will be going to Volskaya Industries. Which, it's one of those maps that you see so many compositions run on. Because there's so many strategies you can do, especially on the offense. The defense, especially on first point, tends to stay fairly static, running that double shield, Orisa Rhine, Orisa Sigma. You see a lot of that. But when it comes to the DPS especially, you see so many different things run.
Right. Like, defense is where you try to play around that double shield, and we saw that from both teams. They played around it very effectively. They found different maneuvers to separate the shields, block off the main tanks, and because of that, we got to see a little bit of Ryan Zarya throughout that, and a little bit of dive.
And I just want to see if both teams are ready to go with our map number 3 in this series. No real use in me asking if there's going to be any substitution.
I mean, they can't grab others from away from this matchup yet.
And what's also nice to know is I believe there is another game going on right now, which is Violent Tendencies versus Nocturnal. And Nocturnal, although they had some rough patches in the beginning of the season, they started making their comeback and rising up in those standings. So I have a feeling that if they can win that match against Violent Tendencies, they'll be in a good likelihood of making it to playoffs.
Yeah, like Nocturnal, they have been in that finals picture before. They have been that championship caliber team. You know, they have been really good in the past. They're going to keep being good moving forward, it looks like. I'd be glad to see them in that Final Four once again and earn playoffs.
Still waiting to see if Antimatter is ready to go. Just want to let me do this. There we go. Just doing some stuff for when I'm working on the YouTube channel later. Unfortunately, we do not. The second YouTube is hard to get access to, so one of our moderators in the service, Miss Cupcake, is streaming the VT versus Nocturnal game. So if after this game ends, that one's still going on, I recommend anyone watching this one go check that out, as that one does look like it should be a fairly good game, though.
It really does. Like, both of those teams also look really good entering this last week of the season. You know, they could definitely put on one heck of a show, but for now, just kinda waiting on the continuation of this slobber knocker at the moment. The game's tied 1 apiece. Mako, they were playing at a disadvantage early on, but they quickly turned that around on Oasis. So, I mean, they look really good entering map 3.
And it's what I was just saying during Numbani, is you go into that 5v6 and you can start to think, well, if we can get our 6th player mid map, then we'll have them ready for map 2. So we can treat this map as just like a throwaway, get used to what Antimatter likes to do, and then just immediately counter it. So there is advantages to running in that 5v6 and knowing you're going to lose, and just seeing what they do at their best and what your enemy does at their worst.
Exactly, just kind of get that feeling process out of the way early on, and you figure out, hey, we know what to run against them now. They're probably going to run this comp here. We'll play this to counter them. That's very smart by Mako, just trying to play around Anti, and honestly, they could be the ones to dethrone Anti here. They could make them be 12-1. It's possible. They look pretty good so far.
And it would also be interesting if Mako is able to take over Antimatter here, because Anti is our defending champions from last season. So if Mako's able to take down Anti here, it is possible that they could end up fully dethroning them later on in playoffs.
Very true, and we do have a substitution coming in right now. Jay's going to be on DPS, MJ's going to be swapping to support.
A role you don't really see MJ on, actually.
Like, I think I know what they're doing here. They are bringing in Jay, so they're going to have that higher SR number. So they're going to run MJ, I believe support's one of his lowest roles. So to use it as kind of like a balancing tool.
Well, the problem with that is we don't run off the role queue roles. We actually base it off of seasons 15, 16, 17, still.
Oh, yeah, that's confusing.
So, but still, I believe MJ's just staying in to keep things evened out, with Jaybird playing in this role now.
Spot.
Yeah. And both teams are ready to go. So let's go into map number 3, Volskaya Industries. Now, I do think it was smart, though, for Anti to put in Jaybird, as Jaybird does play a lot of the Ana, and that translates very well into Widowmaker.
That is true, and Widow is a very strong counter to that Pharah, especially at higher elos. Just the one-shot potential is way too strong to ignore.
I wonder if Mako is going to realize that, or if they're going to realize that a little too late. Because, at least in that first point, Pharah is used so heavily, which is why I think they put Jaybird in the first place.
Yeah, I could see that. And I mean, you also got Weeb that can play a lot of those flanker types and a bit of the hit scan himself, so you could have that double threat of hit scan going against you.
And Archangel will be playing on that Pharah, and just like we thought, Jaybird will be playing on that Widowmaker. But it looks like, both teams are actually going to go very similar comps. Both are running the double shield with the Mercy Moira. The only difference is the DPS, whereas Antimatter has the Genji and the Widow, more of that anti-Pharah composition, I'd like to call it, whereas Mako was running the exact same composition they were running before, with that, basically the air-ground assault.
I mean, they do, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it yet. I mean, they did very well on Oasis with this comp. And honestly, the only big thing you're gonna have to worry about is that Genji and Widow. But you do have double shields for the Widow. You got the freeze and the Moira for the Genji.
I will check that, because Anti could have too many masters, but I don't know.
We're using all 3 of those seasons now. I think most of them only hit it once in that time frame. if at all. So.
I mean, I don't think MJ would do that on purpose, but Jaybird, though, will be able to take down Cursed Rubium. And it looks like Mako is still holding up a pretty strong fight. Jaybird, though, taking down Archangel. It looks like this Widowmaker is just being used to its maximum effectiveness, providing that ranged, what is it called? That ranged pressure, that's it.
Yeah, putting a lot of pressure on him from long range. Very good strat, especially to try to get that far out of the sky. And speaking of, yeah, it's gonna work. Gonna be seeing the Reaper May come out now. Gonna swap to the Lucio as well for that off support slot.
Yeah, I'll check on those SRs though at the end of this map.
I mean, it's 15, 16, and 17 like averaged, or?
Yeah, it's those averaged together.
Okay, that's gonna be interesting. I'll do that in between.
Again, Dragonblade though coming in, going to take out Dr. Skit. Blizzard though comes straight out onto point, trying to lock this out for Mako right now. Jaybird taking out Knife Aeron though, and it looks like this point is going to flip over to Antimatter. Gravitic Flux coming in, trying to take as many as it can. Jaybird will be able to take out Chroma though. And it looks like Antimatter is going to walk away with Volskaya Industries. These staggers starting to come in. Reinhardt getting a nice pin onto Weebology, but that Gravitic Flux will take out Lucio. And Warrior Wolf will also take down Knife Aeron, and Chaotic Phoenix will take down Egan. And this point does look like it is going to be captured. 2 ticks already taken. These staggers continuing to come in though from Mako. A Coalescence coming out of Antimatter, going to keep the team up, with another Coalescence coming out from the side of Mako. And it will, however, Antimatters will be able to take down a pick, with Jaybird taking out Dr. Skit. Egan will fire back, taking out Jaybird. Now Resurrect onto Jaybird though is going to keep him back into this fight, and keep this point percentage coming up in favor of Anti. Widowmaker using her ultimate. Jaybird looking for these picks continuously, taking out another pick onto Dr. Skit, as well as getting a shot onto the Hammond, helping him fall.
Season highs, right? Burr?
Yes.
Okay. Nope, they're only got 2 master averages using that system. Some are pretty close, but yeah, I think they're under.
So, they are actually fine.
I think so, yeah. It's the average of the last 3, right? So 15, 16, 17?
Yeah.
Ready for battle. Attackers incoming in 30 seconds.
Yeah, if you average it, they only have 2. One's close though. There's like 34 something.
I wish I brought my stick and pads. I'm sure I could have found a pickup game here.
So yeah, both teams are fine. So yeah, Antimatter is fine.
Yeah. We probably should have checked that before we went on.
Yeah.
One. Attackers incoming. Defend.
But that's what makes it so important though, to remember that it's 15, 16, and 17. Even though you're masters in 2 seasons doesn't mean you're gonna be masters overall.
And like I told you, only like 1 player I think from Anti that was masters average was masters in more than 1 season.
Yeah, but Mako's still firing back though, taking out several picks and making a quick progression onto this point. Oh my god!
Yeah, that was more aggressive than the anti-push. Holy crap! That's not even gonna take a minute. That's just
that was like a 30-second push. Holy shit!
Yeah, they just pushed straight on through. Ooh, okay, alrighty, they're just going straight on through.
I guess those averages really don't matter when you're a team that really wants to win.
So yeah, they definitely want to through. They are the better of the two.
And it looks like Mako's gonna try and keep this momentum going. They already are on point.
Yeah, they're pushing straight on into the Arisa shield, not giving them
Jaybird though will take out Chris Rubion, but 2 picks already on the side of Mako. Make that 4! Like, they're almost doubling the time that Anti had on their pushes. Holy crap!
Oh, they are gonna get some stall going here though. Oh!
But a Blizzard coming straight out on the point, that's basically gonna almost guarantee this cap.
That's it!
That's 5.5 minutes compared to 3.5.
That's almost a whole 2-minute difference here. Mako just put straight on through. They ain't having none of this stalling business.
Anti just didn't seem ready.
Holy crap. Okay. Okay.
I mean, that is the fallback to a double shield with a Widow, is if you push straight past those shields, there ain't really much they can do.
If your Widow can't get the room to click heads, that Widow's pretty much been nullified. That's it. And now we're going to be seeing a Pharah Hanzo comp. Double main with the Arisa Hog, so lots of shield pressure coming in here from Anti. Their opponent running double shield, Doom, Mei, Moira, and Lucio. Getting that defensible compared to their opponents.
It does look like Mako is debating if they want to run this Doomfist or not, as Doomfist is coming right back into that spawn room. They are actually going to be switching over to the McCree, which that's actually really beneficial, even though they don't know that Anti has the Pharah. Verticality on that first point is so strong that you have to assume that they're going to have a Pharah.
Yeah, you do, and I do like how they're swapping to that McCree just to cover that option just in case.
Jaybird playing on this Hanzo, it might be...
Oh!
Ooh! A nice pick by Weodology onto Cursed Rubium, and Mako doesn't have the Mercy this time to get him back up. So all picks here are final for Mako. Archangel, though, taking down Weodology. That gets rid of the Pharah for right now. Mercy, though, coming in to get that res.
So they push back a little soon. You gotta cover those bodies, make sure they can't get them up.
These shields split up fairly well from Mako. Warrior, though, getting hauled off. She will take out the Mei, but the rest of the team isn't able to get around that Mei wall. And this is actually a pretty strong hold coming out of Mako. Coalescence coming in, possibly even used to try and contest this Pharah just a little bit. Coalescence is also going to come out on the side of Antimatter, dealing the damage and helping to take out Chroma. And Anti will be able to cap this point with just over 2 minutes on this time bank right now.
Yeah, that's a pretty good push, and they do have both DPS ults. They can make a lot of space on that point. So, I mean, you gotta be careful of them pushing in here.
Mako already taking a very strong defensive position on this point, not really giving them much ground, as in order to contest them, you have to push straight on the point. Dragon's coming in, that Arisa is going to be able to stay up. However, Chroma will fall to the Dragons. He might have just accidentally backed into it. A nice wall onto the Roadhog, but it doesn't matter, as a double rocket barrage will cause the deaths of both Archangel and Cursed Rubium, and then Weebology comes away with the kill on Dr. Skit. And Antimatter looks like they are going to make a strong force on this point.
Not quite yet.
Deadeye coming in. Massive Deadeye catching both the fall as well as both the healers.
And now we're just gonna see Mako
could make a comeback here, but it looks like they're just not able to get any presence on that point. That whole hog just kept pushing people away.
Oh, and just a little late there getting it, but that Blizzard, if they could have gotten the Mei back to point, that could have been a whole fight changer.
I also think that the Orisa had already used her Fortify too, so everyone on that point would have been caught. I wonder though if is Mako going through the same aggression that they did. I feel like Anti might end up running a Bastion going into this, seeing the aggression that Mako used in that first push, and there it is, Jaber playing on the Bastion.
Oh, far a Bastion. So you're going to cover your high ground and have a barrage of bullets aimed towards your face? That's going to be difficult to handle no matter who you are.
It's definitely going to come down to who is being the bigger nuisance. Do you target the Bastion first, or do you target the Pharah?
Well, with the way you usually set this comp up on Volskaya, that Bastion's going to have a lot of long-range sightline, so they're not going to be as effective till you push in on them. So you could try to handle that Pharah from outside the gates, then push in on that Bastion. That could be a plan to go with.
Well, let's see exactly what Mako is going to do. Using that Lucio speed boost is going to be so useful with pushing straight into that point. And at least now Mako knows that they are running the Far Mercy. And they must also realize that they are running the Bastion now, as you just see that stream of bullets coming in.
You know, if they actually move the Bastion to the closer sight line, so they'll get more effective damage throughout their push attempt here.
Mako trying to figure out how they want to approach in this fight, it looks like. Bastion's really being a nuisance. A nice wall, though, could give them the opportunity to start pushing in, but that wall is going to deteriorate so fast to that Bastion damage.
But we did see the Hawk come off the high ground. That's your chance to get a pick, but nope. Bastion gonna
Arc
get first
will
this one.
fall to the Bastion, being the first death of this Mo. But two picks will fall in favor of Mako, and now they're taking the point right underneath where Bastion can see them. They're going to have to force this Bastion to reposition, which is exactly what he's doing, staying out of that configuration turret.
Oh, but the picks going in both directions, Mei.
Continuing to go in favor of Anti. It looks like there's just 1-1. With this Mei just staying right out of sight of the Bastion.
And I mean, very good first push by Mako, already getting a tick and a half worth of progress. Oh, but rip.
Unfortunately, Archangel will fall to Chaotic.
Yeah, that is gonna hurt.
Taking down E again. It looks like Anti is just now running a heavy defensive comp right now.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting to see how Mako deals with this comp coming up on their ults. I mean, you really can't swap to the Reaper unless you eat the Mei ult, which honestly is probably one of your best options to keep. You know, you want to keep that Blizzard, freeze them up maybe on the high ground.
Yeah, if you can get this Mei to flank around and get that Blizzard straight on top of that Bastion, it's going to almost, I think, guarantee them that point capture, because you could just immediately collapse onto those three that are on top of that point, or on top of the high ground, and just remove them.
Yeah, you gotta get some way to get to them. You gotta get this Bastion off. Like, off that high ground, no matter what you gotta do. It's rip. There goes Arch once again.
It also might be beneficial to swap over possibly to a Sombra, or even a Junkrat, possibly.
Yeah, there's a lot of choices you can go for here. Oh, they just pushed it upstairs.
Pushing in straight onto the Bastion, using that beat drop. However, the Rocket Barrage will cause the death of the Orisa and her Supercharger. However, two picks are going to fall in favor of Mako going into this, and Roadhog dropping a point will fall to the Mei. Bastion popping his ultimate will die in the middle of that ultimate. With Orisa immediately getting collapsed on, the only one left there for Anti to contest is Mercy, and I think she's just going to pull immediately away.
I'm a little confused there. Like, you rezzed your...
Mercy contesting.
Yeah, like that res was really good, but why then? I'm kind of confused how that worked. I guess it was to, like, to help the stall, which makes sense. But
And an early pick going in favor of Mako. Ninth Aaron taking down Weebology. Coalescence coming in with an amplification matrix coming out from the side of Antimatter, but it is going to get walled off. Immortality used very early on into that fight. OLOC coming in. Antimatter looking like they're using every ult they can with a massive Jedi yet again. And it looks like Mako is just might be able to take this. Actually, Anti looks like they're making their comeback. Arisa taking that positioning with her shield was just able to pop in that damage.
Yeah, I think that was 3 picks for Warrior there, and even though you got the big high noon, it wasn't quite enough.
And now you have Anti with their Deadeye coming on very shortly as well, with 8% left to go. They're definitely going to have a Deadeye in this next fight.
That's going to be scary, because that can eat through your double shields quicker than you'd ever believe, so you don't got a lot of room to work here.
Shields breaking very fast on both sides, but it looks like Mako's is the ones that's dying faster. A dual pick on that Deadeye, it's not going to stop the gravitic flux from being channeled, but it will stop the progress of Mako with dangerously in one-fight territory now, it looks like.
Honestly, as Mako, you should be glad that didn't raise the McCree sooner, as that looked like a possible 5 to 6k. He was lifted up like it was going to with that flux. Like, flux is powerful, but also very dangerous depending on who's popping what ults.
Very much so. Coming in, it looks like the last fight of this map. Roadhog getting assaulted. He will fall, but so will Archangel. A nice trade-off. However, I do believe that that pick on the Roadhog was much more significant, with the Resurrects coming out from the side of Antimatter. But now, all these deaths are permanent that Anti is taking, using that Immortality, as well as their Baptiste. They lost one of their healers, with that Blizzard actually being what kills Warrior Wolf. And it looks like Mako is making their chance onto this point. Almost 2 ticks. Only one person is there alive that can contest this, and it is the Farah. She is going to get there in time to contest, but she will be taken out, but not without first taking Chroma. The Immortality field will be destroyed, and a amplification matrix going to be popped. May not necessarily be in the best position for it. Deadeye coming out yet again from the side of Antimatter, actually. And it looks like Anti actually making their comeback. These fights just keep swapping back and forth between Mako and Anti, it looks like.
That spawn advantage, it will kill you if you aren't focusing down targets, and it just looked like Anti created so many different problems that Mako had to solve there as the fight went on. You just couldn't handle them all. With that, Anti gonna take the series lead back up 2-1. They do have a chance to close it out on map 4, whatever that is. Oh, I just yeet my controller to the floor.
There's some stuff I need to do in Discord, so keep on talking, Chubby, while I get the last map set up.
Okay, so we're going to be entering our 4th map, kind of just waiting on substitutions here on both sides. The series is going back and forth pretty well. Mako's 1-1, they won our control map. We have seen... hold on, I gotta quickly... What channel was that? Was it in this one? I'm just checking something real quick as we're waiting on. Map number 4, Anti looking to keep. Where are the... I forget what the rules are in the server, but that's okay. Just doing a lot of things at once. Both teams have looked really strong here so far in this matchup of the ages. We're going to Rialto, land at the boats. Be careful of the boops. They can be very scary.
Alright, I'm ready.
Alright, so we are just
looks
waiting
like
on subs.
yeah, there was an issue going on with the VTV Nocturnal game, so I was trying to sort that out. Anyway, it looks like Mako is waiting for one person to join for a sub. Yeah, we're going into Rialto though, so what do you think that teams may be running going into this map?
Good question. We've seen a couple of different cult variations, comp variations coming out from both teams, so I really don't know at this point. Definitely some double shield, I would assume. Maybe a Bastion on the defensive. Beyond that, I don't know. But let's see, we are just going to be waiting.
Yeah, we're still just waiting to see.
Waiting on those subs.
Yeah. Which one did they say that? 32? Okay, they still got time. Oh, there's Chris. There we go.
There we go.
Alright, I want to see if both teams are ready to go, and then...
Yeah, we're just waiting on both teams to be ready.
Yep. Oh, isn't this an exciting night?
Yeah.
Sir, every game that I cast, whenever I'm casting and there's a game going on, something goes on. So we're waiting just to see if either team is ready to go. Yeah. Although, I do have to say though, Mako was putting up a pretty strong fight on Volskaya. Like, that initial push, holy crap, I still can't get over that.
Crap.
I'll have to deal with that later. Oh my gosh, why does everything have to happen? I'm sorry for the dead air, everyone, by the way. That's it, I'm just starting, because it's been well over 5 minutes.
Welcome to
Alright,
Alto.
so, possibly...
Initiating match.
Should have said something, MJ. When I ask if you're ready and you say nothing... Sorry about that. Alright, we're going into our possible last match of the season.
Ready for battle. Attackers incoming in 30 seconds.
And when it comes to switching sides, I've never done that when I've hosted, so I wouldn't do it now. Why do something when I haven't done it for all 13 weeks of the season? But it looks like from Mako, they're going to be running with that double shield composition that they have been running, but instead of running the Mayflower, they're actually going to be running with a Ash Symmetra composition. Which definitely is going to cause quite a bit of CC. I mean, there's a lot of damage potential coming out of that composition. Antimatter making that strong push forward, pushing into Anti with the first pick coming out to Weebology, taking out E again, a nice resurrect, bringing him back into this fight. And it looks like Mako is actually being forced backwards, not really having that same aggression that they had in Volskaya. And Chaotic will be able to take down E again, and it definitely looks like, well, Antimatter is going to be able to start making these pushes forward. A resurrect onto E again will bring them back in once again, but they also lost their Symmetra, meaning they no longer have that, I want to say defensive capability that they had at the start of this. Lucio really assaulting onto that backline, or Antimatter, and it looks like these picks are just continuing to fall into their favor.
Yeah, Antimatter getting a good push going right now. Just trying to get it on through.
And a nice fist, nice trades though coming up, but I believe Antimatter's pick onto Chroma will actually be more sufficient, as that just took out one of the major shields in this double shield composition. Supercharger coming out from Mako, allowing that damage to start coming through. Egan will take out MJ, but it doesn't look like it's really going to matter with Bullet taking out Tekris Torb, and a Gravitic Flux coming in will take out Chaotic Phoenix. Dragons coming out on the side of Antimatter, trying to get a pick, will actually take out Cursed Rubion, but Egan will take out Jaybird with the dynamite, and it looks like Mako is going to be able to hold now. Possibly looking to try and get a stagger onto this Orisa. Orisa is going to be able to get behind her shield and escape with her life. And a nice contest coming in from the side of from Mako, and Mako actually will pop their Bob, but he will get destroyed. Weebology switching over to the Bastion. Strong Bastion play coming out once again from the side of Antimatter. It looks like they're trying to do exactly what they did on Volskaya. Anti coming away with multiple picks in their favor, and looks like Mako is going to be forced all the way back, and their Moira falling to Chaotic Phoenix's Accretion, as well as Cursed Rubion falling to Jaybird. And this point, it looks like it will finally hit that first checkpoint. Anything to say on that, Chubby?
Sorry, I'm dealing with stuff at the moment regarding the rules.
Yeah. Like I said, things always seem to go down in the middle of games.
That's fine. That just means we need to overlook it. Or, not overlook it. Oh, look over the rules. There you go. At the end of the season, yeah. A little more tweaking.
Which we normally do after each season. A Gravitic Flux coming in. It doesn't look like it can't call anybody. A Resurrect onto Kniferon with E again. Coming out, taking out Jaybird. Chroma, though, falling off the map, it looks like. Bastion Ultimate coming out from the side of Antimatter, trying to get a few picks here. It will be able to take down Kniferon, and it looks like Anti is just going to continue this push moving forward in their favor. Accretion comes out from the side of Mako. Doesn't really catch anybody though. Jaybird coming away with more picks in his bag. Jaybird really showing off his ability on these DPS roles right now. You normally see him a lot on that support role, but when he is on that DPS, he is such a strong player. Gravitic Flux coming out from the side of Mako, or not Mako, of Antimatter. I am not focused right now. Rebology though, taking out 2 picks, both Bob and Cursed Cherubium, and this will help their point continue to move forward. I don't know, I'm starting to think that swapping off to Tekris might have been a bad call, possibly, for the side of Mako, as it doesn't look like they have the same aggressive or defense force that they had prior. Anti continuing on his onslaught, taking out multiple picks, thanks to Jaybird. Weave using that configuration tank while being nano boosted.
Yeah.
0-3. Switching sides. Initiating match.
It looks like if Mako is able to actually come back with that strong offense they had on Volsky, I think it might turn out to be a fairly good match. But after that defense from Mako, unfortunately, I feel like Antimatter might be able to take this. So we might quite possibly won't see a map 5, and I mean that's a little disappointing. Just because I love seeing things go to map 5, that just means that these games are so close. Especially from what we saw on Oasis, it would be really cool to see something similar happen on a 5th map. Looks like from Antimatter, they're going to be running a more dive-based composition when it comes to the, well, really just the Genji. Is going to be acting more like that Tracer that Jaybird was playing. And, however, coming out of Mako, they're actually going to be running more of the bunker style, double shield bunker, which I think might give them a slight advantage. It's going to be able to shred through a lot of this shield power of Antimatter as they're running the Orisa Hog rather than double shield. Immediately setting up the pirate ship from the side of Mako. He is going to get slapped, and an easy pick, just immediately killed. And Jaybird fires back, taking out Takris 12 as well. It looks like Anti knows exactly how they wanted to counter a Bastion, and are going through with that as strong as they can.
They're doing a really good job firing back now.
Mubology taking up this high ground positioning, probably looking to get some early damage out. A deflected Moira Orb will deal some damage, but it's not really going to do too much against what Mako has right now. Bastion immediately setting up into the smaller room. Harder to get a good positioning on him. With a nice pull onto the Moira, it's going to take Dr. Skit out of that fight, as well as the Bastion falling at 2 Mubology, and it looks like these picks are just continuing to fall in favor of Antimatter.
And Anti just holding them really strong here, not wanting to give them any room to work, it looks like.
Anti definitely using this Genji. Actually going to fall to Chroma. Bob comes out from the side of Antimatter, but he's actually going to go so far back, it's not really going to be utilized. However, that didn't really stop Antimatter from taking effect of the repositioning that Mako was forced to do due to the Bob coming out, and Chroma will actually fall from the backline Bob. Mako looking like they're really struggling right now. Something has definitely changed between last map and this map between these teams.
Yeah, like, it seems that momentum Mako had built up is just getting kind of reversed, and Anti has built back up their own momentum, not wanting to lose that undefeated streak maybe, or just have pride or something driving them at this point.
Blizzard comes in, but the two people are going to fall to the coalescence, and Mako really actually does start to move forward. Getting that payload moving, but with 1:30 left on the clock, it's going to be hard for them to really push more with more time on their time bank now. Especially with Anti already coming back, ready for that contest for that first checkpoint. A nice pull, though, coming out from the side of Mako. Weebology looking for picks, who is going to catch both the supports, but will fall. But that doesn't really matter, as when you take out those supports, there's really nothing your enemy team can do to stay in this fight, with Bob being on that point as well. Riptire coming in, looking to get some picks. It's going to be able to catch two of them. But it doesn't look like it's really stopped Antimatter from continuing to hold this point. Mako using that whole hog to push people away and keep this payload moving, and they were able to capture that payload and that first checkpoint with that whole hog. Mako still running with this Bastion. But honestly, I don't know how well the Bastion's doing. To me, it looks like the Bastion's getting countered pretty hard. This Junkrat, Deegan, laying on this Junkrat though is being a huge asset to Mako right now. Just popping out a lot of damage and keeping things contested, with allowing Tekris to take out that pick onto Chaotic Phoenix. Valkyrie is going to come out from the side of Antimatter, but Tekris coming in with picks of his own. Jaybird swapping over to the Junkrat, possibly to try and contest this Bastion and destroy these shields. Anti starting to come in. Tekris will take out Jaybird. The Resurrect onto Tekris, but Chroma is going to take out the Ana, with picks continuing to fall in favor of Mako. Mako is now starting to get back that momentum that it looked like they had lost for a while. Tekris is once again going to take yet another pick onto Chaotic. Funny how, as I say that it looks like the Bastion isn't working, the Bastion starts working phenomenally. Supercharger coming out. That's massive amounts of damage that's going to come in. And a Coalescence will cause the death of MJ on that Ana, with Egan taking out Warrior Wolfgirl. And it looks like Castillo, or not Castillo, Mako going to come in with 2 picks on that Bastion configuration tank. Looking to get to that third checkpoint, and this Bastion is going to help severely with these staggers now, stopping this Tammin from really doing much of anything. Scriptire coming in will be taken out by the enemy Sigma, but that doesn't stop Egan from taking out a pick onto a healer. Jaybird will take out Tekris Torb, but it looks like Mako continues to fire back, taking out 3 picks of their own, keeping this fight going and keeping that payload moving. 2 minutes left on the clock for Mako. It looks like they will finish this with less time than Antimatter, but that's all Anti really has to do, is try to force them to waste as much time as possible at this point.
Score 3-3. Initiating match. Ready for battle. Attackers incoming in 30 seconds.
Okay, too.
Did you take that directly from the rules document, Chubby?
Mm-hmm. Copied and pasted, word for word.
5, 4, 3,
See, I've hosted so many of these games, I know those rules like the back of my hand at this point.
Say, like, I know it's been there at least since S1.
Looks like, though, Mako going to be running a very similar comp they had been on Oasis. Instead of running the Pharaoh, they're actually running the Junkrat. Curse Trubian, though, will fall to Jaybird. Jaybird actually running on the Sombra, possibly in anticipation for the Bastion from the side of Mako, but it looks like they're just going to allow this payload to start moving forward, repositioning this Bastion. Sombra able to back out of that fight by using that. So actually Sombra will take out the Mei. I was losing my train of thought there, so I'm happy something happened. It looks like, though, Antimatter is going to continue to hold this. Mako switching off to a Sombra of their own. Oh, I love seeing Sombras. I just think it's fun. Tech Restore, though, will take out Warrior Wolf Girl. With Knife Iran falling off the map, it looks like once again, it might have been a KYS just to stop a stagger, honestly.
Yeah, that would be a pretty smart play.
Especially now, since your team is starting to make a comeback, taking out that Sombra. That's going to be a huge pick, especially allowing this Bastion to keep moving forward, as well as Knife Iran taking down their own Bastion, as well as the healer falling to the Gravitic Flux. And this payload will continue to move forward. Tech Restore taking out a pick onto Warrior Worth Girl, but with about 10-15 seconds left on the time clock, they're going to have to stay on this payload like heavily. Any halt and forcing this Mako off the payload could end this game for Mako at this point.
And Mako gets to set the pace.
And especially now, since Antimatter has an EMP ready, I think this might be their last push, honestly. Jaybird looking for his opportunity to use this EMP. Giving up a little bit of space is always fine, especially when you have a plan in the works.
Ooh. Jaybird's ready for it. Gonna pop it
EMP
back.
gonna come out. Going to catch Matt. 3 people, it looks like, but an enemy EMP catching 4!
Ooh. And I think that actually keeps Mako on the cart. They're gonna win
That
this.
will help Mako stay on the car, and especially with Antimatter signal being so low, he's gonna be such an easy pick. The biggest concern there was the fact that that Jaybird was just unable to catch Egan with his EMP, and that allowed Mako to just use theirs to counteract his.
That was very smart, playing it to the last second, and now your team has a really good chance of getting at least 2 points here. Oh?
And what's even scarier for Antimatter is the further that Mako was able to push that point, the harder it's going to be for Anti just to push it.
Score 4-3. Switching sides.
Antimatter does have almost 2.5
Initiate
minutes, there's 9 seconds less than 2.5. So, it's definitely going to be tough for Mako to really hold this, but they were able to push that payload so far that, honestly, this could go either way. Honestly, I would be kind of excited to see a map 5 out of these teams.
I'd say they're both playing really well. They're both just kind of fighting back and forth like a boxing match. They really both look equal.
I mean, there's been moments where both teams have just had massive edges over the other ones. It makes you start to wonder what could have happened if Mako had all 6 people in that first map.
It does look like Anti gonna be coming out with the Pharmacy Bastion combo. Just gonna try to take over air and the land.
Unfortunately, I do think Mako does have the upper hand with this, as they do have the Sombra just able to lock out a lot of these abilities, getting a hack onto that Baptiste early on. That's going to be a massive hack, as now they don't have that immortality. The hack will stop, though, and I think I did hear the immortality come out. It was actually Mako's immortality that came out, with Jaybird destroying it. Jaybird also taking out Tekra's Torb, with Revology taking out Egan. That takes out the Sombra out of this fight, and this could be Antimatter's definitive push forward, it looks like. Mako definitely going to have to rethink some strategies going into this. They need some way to counteract this Bastion. They do have the Sombra, but they're going to have to create enough of distraction to allow the Sombra to get the hack off on that Bastion. And getting a stagger onto Dr. Skit is not going to help in that. Tekra's Torb switching over to the Junkrat, possibly even some more Bastion counteraction. The payload will be able to be pushed to that first checkpoint. It looks like Anti's just going to keep this payload moving. Just under a minute left to push this, whereas Mako was already in overtime at this point.
Yeah. I mean, Mako, they do have a couple ults ready to go online. They couldn't. I think they might be trying to save until that last fight opportunity. Using it the last possible moment.
Jaybird will be able to take down that immortality field, but the first kill will go to Chroma, taking out Jaybird. A Rocket Barrage will cause the life of Dr. Skit, with Egan taking down the Pharah, but it looks like these picks are just continuing to go back and forth. Antimatter, though, looking like they are going to get the upper hand, taking down Cursed Rubium, and a Gravitic Flux coming out. EMP is going to come in, which will remove the use of that immortality field. Bastion Ultimate coming out from the side of Jaybird will be able to take out Chroma, and a damage boosted Bastion is a terrifying thing, as if one shot on the Junkrat will almost solidify this, possibly, for Antimatter. At this point still being contested though by Cursed Rubium. They will fall, and this point is in overtime now, meaning that all Mako needs to do is push them back once. Get them off the point before reaching that final checkpoint. And now we are in the last fight from the side of Antimatter, but only one will fall. Stagger starting to play their role in this fight now. Riptar coming in. Is it going to be big enough? It's only going to take out the Mercy, and that's going to allow Antimatter to walk away with 3 maps in the end of this match.
Play of the game.
Really good from both teams, though.
Running post-mission diagnostics.
What is the rules section again? Oh, there it is.
Anyways, I think we have some business to take care of, though, Chubby.
Yeah, we do.
And that's MVPs for each team.
It's gonna be really rough because a lot of people did really good throughout the series.
So many people did really good in this. But who would you think deserves it for Mako?
Ah, crap. I don't really know. I don't know. I honestly can't pick. They were all so good throughout the series. If I had to pick from Mako, I'd probably say Archangel. They did really good throughout on their DPS, getting some big plays throughout. And honestly, they popped off pretty big.
Who would you say for Mako?
Archangel.
Okay, I can agree with that. And what about for Antimatter?
Shoot. That's another hard one. There's so many good people. I'm gonna go Warrior Wolf Girl. Did really good on that main tank. It's one of their first games with the team. They looked really good. It felt like they were already had the synergy built up with that main tank, and they played terrific, like throughout the whole series.
Alright, so, yeah, I would agree with those. Sorry, doing Discord stuff. But, anyway, congratulations to Antimatter on winning this match. Really good jump from both teams, and congratulations to MVP's Archangel and who from Antimatter again? Warrior Wolf? Alright, well anyways, this has been Relegation. Once again, thank you, Chubby, for joining me today.
Yep, no problem.
And I hope to see you all again, hopefully next week, with the final of matches of week 13, hopefully, or possibly playoffs, depending on how things go.